You are listening to Comedy Club for Kids presents Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense, Radio Nonsense. Potatoes are the best, and also toads aren't real. Please eat my toes and make a piece of raw broccoli cheese and tum yum. Also, rats are best. Wow, thanks to Laughing Ninja for that intro, which nicely goes with their question being answered on this week's show. That doesn't often happen, but the timing was perfect. Hang on though, are toads not real? Are they just frogs who've had a bad week, or snot that's really, really angry? I was certain that toads were a real thing, but I have to say, now that Laughing Ninja sent that in, I'm starting to wonder. But then, if rats are the best, is the toads thing a rumour that rats were trying to spread so that everyone thought they were the best animal instead of toads? It's very hard to know, isn't it? Also, please don't eat my toes. I need them, otherwise my shoes won't fit, and I will fall over a lot, so thanks. What I mean to say is, hello and welcome to Radio Nonsense, the official Comedy Club for Kids podcast for all ages from 2.
Attends, t'en as autant de temps dans ta tente.
And everything in between. I'm Tiernan, and I'm sorry, but that toads thing is really bothering me. I'm sure I've seen a toad before at a zoo, and on nature programmes where someone like David Attenborough would say, "There is a toad. It is definitely real. I swear I'm not telling fibs." And what about all the stories of Frog and Toad? Was Toad just Frog's imaginary friend all along? What about Toad on the road? Was there just a road with nothing else on it? And who was that in Wind of the Willows? Who drove the car too fast? Was it no one? Linda, do toads exist, Linda? Have you seen one before, Linda? Do you exist, Linda? Strange. I was certain, in the collection of farting animals that you will keep sending in and now live on my mantelpiece, that there was a farting toad. Let me just check. No, that's a salamander. No, that's a screaming rain frog. That's a walrus wearing a green hat. So weird. Where did it even get a green hat from? What about the meal Toad in the Hole? What's that named after? Oh, I suppose it doesn't actually have toads in it, does it? It has sausages, which don't look like toads. Toads don't even look like sausages. Why would they call it toads? Maybe that was all made up. What about when cars get towed away? I know it's spelt different, but is that not real either? I feel so confused by all of this. If toads aren't real, who invented them? This has messed me up. Laughing Ninja did also send in this joke, I should say. What did the cookie say before it got stepped on? Crumbs. Excellent joke, and also only really works with cookies, doesn't it? Like, it wouldn't work if snails shouted squelch before you stepped on them. That would just be a bit sad. Or I suppose if you stepped on a toad. Oh, sorry. All I can think about is how toads supposedly don't exist. I am going to dig deeper into this fake toad conspiracy, but for now, I need to let all you listeners know that, as you're probably a teensy-weensy bit aware, Christmas is coming up, or as some of you might call it, Crimbo, or Xmas, or Christmassy-wissy, or Christmalooza, or Christmas o'clock, or Steve's Big Day. Whatever you call it, it is happening soon. And that means, like every year, there will be a Christmas special Radio Nonsense. And that means... Wait, what does it mean if toads don't even exist? Oh, yeah, no, sorry, it's got actually nothing to do with toads. What it means is I need your Christmas or wintertime or Father Christmas or snow people or elf-based questions. In fact, anything you want to ask about that time of year, even sort of Hanukkah ones, New Year ones, Chinese New Year ones, anything really. I know that's a bit later, but just any questions that could be asked around that time of year, that would be great. And if you could send those in before the 15th of December, then I will get our special Christmas guest to answer them for you. And of course, you can do that by getting your grown-ups, to help you email me at podcast@comedyclubforkids.co.uk. You can, of course, also send in questions about anything else at all, too. I do still need normal questions as well. I say normal questions. None of your questions are normal. Send in whatever weird questions you like. They are very welcomed. And if those same grown-ups fancy signing you up to the advert-free Linda edition to help support this show, they can do that on Apple or by the links in the podcast blurb to Acast Plus or Patreon. And I would just like to say a huge thank you to everyone who has signed up so far. It is so lovely that you've all joined. I will see if I can do something special for you coming up over the Christmas period. Also, do check out our t-shirts at comedyclubforkids.store, and there is not much time left to order one for Christmas if you want to get one for anyone else. And also do check out all our live shows at comedyclubforkids.co.uk, as we've got loads of special Christmas ones, a couple of which I'm going to be doing, so do come and say hello after if I'm there. That is, of course, if I'm not too busy trying to work out just what's happened to all the toads. Hang on a second, I haven't thought to even search online. Let me check. Toads are us. Interesting. That's a thing, so toads must be a thing. Well, I'm going to investigate this more, and while I do, you listen to this most important bit. It's Mr. Toad. I can't believe it, but here on the podcast is Melissa McGlensey, aka Melissa McGlensey, who carries with her a spare knee, aka Meljamin McGee, the Phantom Omeletier, and as all our Corsican-speaking listeners know you, Ehi, Midevi and Sandwich. But of course, Melissa, you are most famous for being the only person in the world to do reverse skydiving, where you leap onto a plane from the ground, for your very popular guides on how to do DIY just using Play-Doh, and who could forget your award-winning, world-touring dance spectacular called Get That Off My Shoe. Melissa, how are you? It's so lovely to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. If you could also please greet my spare knee. He likes to be acknowledged.
Oh, yes, of course. Does he have a name?
Yeah, it's right here on his name tag.
Oh, sorry. Is that a Glenessy? Does it say Glenessy?
It does. It's Dr. Glenessy, actually. Yeah.
Dr. Glenessy. Right. Well, hello, Dr. Glenessy. It is lovely to meet you. And I must say, actually, I don't mean to sort of stereotype knees. I've never seen a knee with a face before, and so I wasn't expecting that. But it looks great. Yeah, really good knee. Is he doing okay?
He's doing great. He doesn't speak, but he does prefer if you don't make too much eye contact. So maybe avert. Can you avert your eyes? Thank you.
Yes, that's fine. I will not stare at your spare knee. Is it that's hard. So you've learned to kind of speak knee, or how do you communicate?
I am fluent in knee, yes.
Right. Did that take long to learn?
It really did, because as far as I know, it is an extinct language. So it was quite a bit of work.
Yeah, I bet it was. I sort of feel I've got to be very careful here, because I don't want to offend Dr. Glenessy at all, but I don't really know anything about the knee culture, or in fact kind of knee history. Do your knees communicate with your spare knee, or is that kind of does he kind of operate on his own terms?
That's deeply offensive.
Right. Okay. Sure. Yeah. Right.
But yes, we are all in communication, and knee, while a difficult language to apprehend, once you've got a handle on it, it's a really easy gateway to elbow, to wrist, to ankle. So I highly recommend everyone take a swing at it. It opens up a whole gateway of joint languages that you just didn't know you had access to.
And is that good, or does that make moving around very noisy?
Well, you do become attuned to the constant screams, but after that, it's just
Right.
After that, it's all just colorful storytelling, really.
Okay, I mean the screams sounds awful.
It is distracting.
Sort of, yeah.
I'll tell you what.
When does that kick in?
I'll tell you what, if I'm ever at the park and a group of joggers go by, you'll see me just hit fetal position pretty quickly.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think you've just summed up right there why going jogging is a bad idea.
Yeah, in my opinion, definitely.
Yeah. Do you think of these, and I don't know if there are any campaigns set up for this, are all these like Olympic athletes and all these people that do all this kind of work that really puts their joints under pressure, should there be some sort of campaign to stop them, to stop that, stop those sports from happening?
It's not my place to speak for the knees, but oh, sorry, hold on. I am getting a word from the doctor right here. Yes. Yes, Dr. G does think we should put our efforts into that. Yeah. Not enough people talking about, how wrong it is to really just wear those knees out. He says, sit on the couch most of the day, every day. You're doing your knees a favor.
I wish more people could speak knee. That's exactly the kind of campaign I could get behind. And I think I wouldn't go on a march, a protest, because that would be the opposite of what the knees would want.
Yeah.
I'd just campaign from my sofa.
Yeah, that would be counterproductive otherwise. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. How does it work with like sometimes I see people wearing knee pads? Do knees like that? Is that like having a hat, or is it like someone's like kind of covered up their face and they can't do anything?
Knee pads are there to silence knees. So anyone you see wearing some, that's a hand over the mouth of the knee so they can't hear it yell and say, "Hey, stop that."
Wow. So skateboarders are really out of order.
Yeah, they really are. It's upsetting.
It is
Kneeboarders,
upsetting.
the worst.
What was that? Kneeboarders?
Kneeboarders. You heard of the sport of kneeboarding? Or as
I have not.
Wow. Well, the doctor likes to refer to it just as the atrocity.
Right. Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a water sport where instead of a board you stand on, perfectly acceptable, you kneel on it. Totally unacceptable.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that because they can't be bothered to stand? Like, why would you do that unless you really either you really hate knees or you're quite lazy and you can't be bothered to stand up?
Or both.
Or both.
Could be both, yeah.
That's really cruel. That's really cruel.
I'm sorry that this took a dark turn. It's just I'm here to spread the good word.
No, but I think you should be. We've not had a knee on the show as such before, and I think, as you say, it's important to give knees a voice, especially as they don't have one. Well, they do, but we don't. We don't speak it. So, do they have a voice, or is it? I don't know how. Maybe I've got this wrong. Do they just sort of communicate through movement?
Yeah, it's like a series of pops and cracks, squeaks.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
To the layman ear,
Right.
at least. To me, of course, I can decipher it into language.
Sure. I mean, I'm so pleased that we've got an expert like yourself on the show. We haven't. Yeah. What do you call it? Are you like a joint translator? What's the term for it? Right.
No, you nailed it on the head. Yeah, a joint translator. That's me.
Wow. I'm quite impressed with myself. That was just sort of taking words out of the blue and seeing what works. But I got the two right ones in the right order as well.
Yeah. If you had said translator joint, that would have been incorrect. But you nailed it.
Yeah. Wow. Gosh, well, this is turning out to be a better day than I thought it was going to be. That's very impressive. Wow. And are you sort of I guess obviously you've got a lot of work cut out supporting knees and elbows and ankles. Are you kind of busy mainly with that, or have you got other stuff going on at the moment?
Yeah, well that is my main passion, but of course for a living I do spend most of my time unicorn spotting. So between those two, I am quite busy.
And is that I mean, that's quite a hard job to do as well. Unicorns are known for being quite reclusive, and they don't really like to be spotted. Is that right?
Correct. No. And if they did, I'll tell you what, more people would be a unicorn spotter. If it was easy, everyone would do it. But I don't capture them. I don't interact with them really. I just look for them. That's my main gig.
Right. And then just when you see them, what do? You just point at them?
Yeah, I say, "There's one."
Anything? Yeah.
And that's a day's work,
That's wow.
Yeah.
Do you like, because I like train spotters or bird spotters, they'll keep like a little log. Like train spotters, they like to write all whichever the train's numbers are, and when they sort, and bird spotters will note the type and stuff. And do you have a little unicorn log?
No, actually I don't. I just spot them.
Right.
Yeah. I prefer not to keep track. I feel like that it feels like someone else's job. I'm not a unicorn logger. I'm a unicorn spotter.
Right. Sure. Sure. And I should just check, you don't like paint spots on them, do you?
No, I wouldn't. That's
Right.
someone else's job. That's the unicorn decorator, Again,
Right.
in the
Okay.
unicorn industry, we keep to our lanes. So
Right. Sure. That makes sense. So if I was to ask how many you've seen to date, would you know, or is that
I have
because you have
absolutely no
recorded?
idea. No.
Right. Right.
I could tell you I saw one today. That's for sure.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Where was that?
The corner store.
Right.
Yeah.
And what was it doing?
Just buying some milk.
Right. I didn't know unicorns did stuff like that.
Yeah, it's quite a misconception that they're only out there in the misty woods and, roaming on the plateaus. No, they live among us. They're just, very low key. They're often putting a hat over that horn, a trench coat over that horse body. But if you know the signs to look for, you can see them.
That's very clever of them. That's very clever. It is that thing, isn't it? Of sometimes just the easiest disguises are the ones that mean people don't recognize you.
Well, of course, like I said, if it was easy, everyone would be a unicorn spotter.
Yeah. Is that have you got tip? If I don't know how many of our listeners would like to be unicorn spotters, or perhaps may have already seen a unicorn. What's the kind of beginner's tips if it's something that you'd like to undertake and do?
Oh, that's a great question. My number one tip to young, aspiring unicorn spotters out there: you see a top hat, you take a peek under it. Okay. That's my number one rule. You see a top hat out there in the wild, 9 times out of 10, there's a unicorn horn under that thing.
Wow.
Now, you do need to ask permission. You can't just go tipping up every top hat you see. But if you ask nicely, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a horsey wink and you're going to get a sight of that beautiful unicorn horn. And then you can get yourself a logger. Again, not me. I'm not keeping a log, but you can find a unicorn logger and they can write that one down.
Wow. I've got so many questions. Firstly, I suppose is that, when you say top hat, I think of 2 types of people. I think of very fancy people that go to operas and balls and things. And actually, have I been wrong, or is it unicorns going to those events?
Well, did you ever think to ask?
I didn't know. I didn't ask any of them. No, they're too fancy. I wasn't really allowed in. They look at me and they think I'm too scruffy. I'm not. I get turned away.
Well, next time you'll ask and you'll have your answer.
That's it. Well, okay. Well, then the other question, I suppose the other people I consider to have top hats are magicians. And when you peek under their top hats, there's a rabbit. So what's happened to the unicorn?
Did you ever think to look under the rabbit?
No.
Yeah.
What?
It's a distraction within a distraction. It's a very clever trick.
That's remarkable.
Yeah.
That's
all you gotta do is ask.
Yeah, and I suppose this is why they're magical beings.
Exactly. Yeah. And magic is the best cover for magic.
Right. So by seeing because you've seen the magic, you wouldn't then think about the magic that's underneath that magic.
Exactly. You've already shown me magic. Why would you hide a different kind of magic? The answer, why not? Why
That's
not?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
They're so clever. I'm so impressed. Do you have a favorite type of unicorn that's like, the one that you're most pleased to see?
Oh, it's always a good day when you see yourself a rainbow sparkle, but I myself in particular to like a pearlescent glow. I tell you what, I only see a pearlescent glow unicorn every maybe 20 or 30 spottings.
Wow. Really hard to see.
Yeah.
I guess it's the lighting has to be right as well.
The lighting's got to be right. It has a lot to do with the unicorn's diet. Some of it's genetic. It depends if they had a parent who was a pearlescent glow, but at the end, it's so beautiful. You don't question it. You're just happy you saw it.
Yeah, I bet. It really must be very, very remarkable. I mean, the things that you get to see and hear, you're out there, you're hearing the languages of joints, you're seeing these unicorns, and I think I sort of I hope a lot of our listeners aren't getting jealous, but maybe it's something they can aspire to because, like, I mean, today I had a walk outside earlier. I saw two dogs. I saw a hedge. I saw some rain. It wasn't great. If I'd seen a unicorn with a pearlescent glow, I think I would feel a lot happier about my day.
Yeah, I think that's accurate for sure. You would. You can't have a bad day when you've seen a PG, as I like to call them.
PG. Wow. That's because it stands for pearlescent glow. It's not because you need a parent with you when you see them.
No, it stands for pearlescent glow, but it is a good idea to have a parent with you when you see them. That's just good sense. Yeah.
Sure, that makes sense as well, and I suppose also for the safety of the unicorn, it's probably good to have a grown up in the vicinity.
Yeah,
in case you're a kid that likes to try and draw on everything, or
exactly
you've got chocolate all over your hands, and that can really,
leave that for the unicorn decorators.
Yeah,
that's their job.
Well, listen, Melissa, this is already so educational. I had no idea. I knew we were asking you on the show because you're an expert, and I have a question that I know that you are the person that can answer it. But I wasn't expecting to learn quite so much about not only knees but also unicorns today. So thank you, thank you for that insight. It's fascinating. I hope listeners are very pleased to hear it. So I do have this question for you though, but before I ask you that, I've got some sort of admin questions. Are you okay with bit of admin?
Absolutely, yeah. Lay it on me.
Great. Well, the first bit of admin is this is, I'm not sure if you're aware, but this is an audio podcast. So most of our listeners do tend to listen to it with their ears, but they may also listen with their elbows. Actually, no, that's what I normally say. But now that you speak to joints, it's probably not. The elbows would be quite sad about that, wouldn't they? So, well, I was going to say they might listen with their elbows or their bums or wherever else. And we don't mind. We don't mind where they choose to listen. But you might mind if they're listening with their joints rather than their ears. Maybe that's a...
As long as they're not listening while kneeboarding, I do not mind.
That's good. Okay, that's good. I'm glad we passed that. Well, because it's an audio podcast, I just wondered if you had a favourite noise that you could either make for us or at least tell us about.
Oh, yes. I would love to perform for you my favorite noise.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's my favorite noise. Did you get that, or do you need another one?
I did. No, that was fantastic. Can I ask what's that sound? What's that sound mean to you?
That sound to me means freshly baked chocolate chip cookies on a rainy day. It means a perfectly cold glass of lemonade,
Wow.
It means a rainbow, a double rainbow even. It means a fluffy, warm pillow. It means everything. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing because I wouldn't have got like that noise. I was sort of wondering, is it a zombie? Is it like a kind of a machine? Is there something, because there's something both calming and yet menacing about it.
That's fascinating that you say that because that particular noise that I made, it sounds different to everyone who hears it. So to you,
right,
maybe that's how it sounded. Maybe to our listeners, it'll sound different. But to me, yeah, that's the sound of freshly baked cookies and lemonade.
That's amazing. Well, and how did you learn to make that noise? Is that after listening carefully to some freshly baked cookies and lemonade? Was that the kind of... Did you train yourself up?
Oh, that's a whole nother long story. But let's just say I didn't spend 3 years in the Andes for nothing. Okay. I lived in a monastery in the mountains to learn that beautiful little number right there.
Wow. And you were trained. So did you, I understand this is a long story, so I kind of cut to the chase, but were you taught by other monks, or is it kind of part of the ambience? Is it, kind of sitting there and taking in the environment, the atmosphere? Did it just kind of come to you?
Oh, I was trained by the monks, vigorous training to come up with that beautiful little sound there. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And did they teach you any other skills as well?
Oh, they did. And I would love to tell them to you, but then I would have to take you to the Andean mountains and leave you there for a few years. That's the rule. So
yeah, I haven't really got the time to do that.
You can't do that? You don't have a couple years right now?
No, I've got a really long list of things I have to do. Actually, I've got to hoover the living room, and I've got to buy some milk, and Yeah, so I don't think I could. I think if I went to the Andes for a couple of years, also for a start, I don't really know Andy, and I don't know both. I don't know Andy or the other Andy or any of the
Mm,
Andy. So I think me turning up to their home and expecting to live there for more than a couple of years would probably I don't know if they'd like that.
yeah.
Um,
They
yeah,
would love it, but look, you have hoovering to do. That makes sense.
I it's really like there's a lot of crumbs on that floor. I don't want someone to get hurt.
That's fair.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't want the room to be overtaken by hungry birds like pigeons or there's a lot of things that can happen if there are crumbs on the floor, and I don't want to risk that.
That's a real concern, and I respect your decision.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. But listen, what a noise, and I think the training comes through in the sound.
Mm.
I think any listeners hearing that will think, "Wow, I'm hearing an expert."
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you for that sound that will mean something different to everyone who hears it. Quite remarkable. Not had anything like that on the show before, I have to say.
Wow.
This is the other bit of admin I do have to ask you. I don't know if your training will come into play here as well. But this podcast is suitable for people of all ages, any age you can imagine. Actually, I don't know if you're able to imagine an age.
Yeah, I think I could if I tried, but I won't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. No, don't. I mean, if you don't need to, there's no reason to. Well, if you could imagine age, it would be suitable for that. And if you can't imagine age, it's also suitable for that age too.
Okay.
Is not suitable for 100-year-olds. Is a very long story. I won't go into it. But every other age, it's fine. And so I just wanted to check if there are any rude words that you won't be saying to make sure this show stays friendly for everyone.
Thank you for doing this kind of check-in. It's really important.
Mm.
There is one word that I will not be saying, and that is lollygag.
Right. Okay.
Now, I want to be clear. I'm okay with the word lolly. I'm okay with the word gag, but when you put them together, you tear people apart,
Yeah.
It's deeply offensive to me. Yeah.
You just saying it made me feel a bit of sick came up. It went back down.
Oh, good.
But I think if you'd said it again, it would have come right out.
Okay. I won't.
Yeah. Lollygag. Yeah, no, I'm glad you won't say lollygag on this show. It's an awful word. Are you allowed to say the plural? Are you allowed to say lollygags?
No form of lollygagging is allowed. Again, lolly to your heart's content,
Yeah.
gag to your heart's content, put them together, and
Yeah.
that's a no deal from me.
Can you make gags about lollies?
Absolutely.
Right, that's okay.
As long as you are putting some space between the two of those, that's fine.
That's fine. Okay, it's good to know the kind of boundaries before we get into it, because I wouldn't want there to be a moment later on this show where the ideal moment to make a joke or a gag about a lolly or even sort of ice cream comes up, and then you think, well, I've said I won't say this now, I can't do this one joke. But it's good to know that no, you can, and that's
You
fine.
definitely can. Yeah, that's allowed.
That's great. Well, thank you for not saying lollygag. I certainly wouldn't say it on this show. It's an awful word. So
Thank you for giving me the space to not say lollygag. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you. Now, listen, Melissa. So we've had this question in, and I think I'm so pleased you're able to come and answer it, because I think you are the person that can. And I need to sort of preface this by explaining this has been sent in by Laughing Ninja, who says, I am Laughing Ninja and I ate Crying Ninja. Now, I don't know a lot about ninja orders or ninja ways. You might know more from your time staying with Andy and Andy. But I think, obviously, there was a Crying Ninja. Laughing Ninja has succeeded them by eating them. And they needed to tell us that before they asked this question. Do you think that's going to change how you answer it at all?
Yeah, I have to be honest with you. That is going to change how I answer this question. I'm a little intimidated. I myself am no ninja, but I have known ninjas before. And I guess my fear is, if I can't answer this question properly, am I next on Laughing Ninja's eat list? That's my fear.
Yeah.
And
was worrying, isn't it?
And was Crying Ninja crying before Laughing Ninja ate them? That's my next. I have a lot of follow-up questions here.
It's tricky, isn't it? I sort of assumed that like Laughing Ninja Crying Ninja was like a title, like maybe they'd earned it through years of training at crying, years of training at laughing.
Oh.
Like they're from different kind of sects or groups of ninjas.
Mm,
Like how you have different styles of martial arts.
mm.
I assumed that maybe they were trained in the way of the crying, the way of the laughing.
That would
But
make
then
sense.
then the
Yeah.
question is, yeah, I mean, then the question is what did Crying Ninja do when they were eaten by Laughing Ninja? Probably cried more.
Well, and is that why Laughing Ninja is laughing? Is Crying Ninja doing some tickling from the inside of Laughing Ninja?
Oh, that's a good question, isn't it?
This question
It's a
has
very good question.
sparked a lot of
A,
questions.
a lot of questions, and I also wonder because ninjas, you've known ninjas, obviously. I have tried to know ninjas. Often they're very hard to get to know because they hide a bit like the unicorns. Actually, quite elusive, often
Very
in
avoidant.
disguise.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, and especially as ninjas are meant to kind of be silent and deadly. But if they're crying and laughing the whole time, I think probably be a lot harder to sneak up on people.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm trying to decide, I'm picturing in my head which is more intimidating, a silent ninja or one that is silently crying. I think I'd be a little more freaked out by the silently weeping ninja sneaking up on me.
Yes.
But I do think the scariest of the three options is the silently laughing ninja.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the one that and not even just because we know that laughing ninja ate crying ninja. That's not influencing me here. It's just the image in my head.
It's true because I think crying ninja. At least they're crying, so thinking I don't want to be doing this ninja work. I wish I had a different life as a shoe mender, or I don't know what other job they might care for, looking after Shetland ponies, something different.
Good
Whereas
option.
Laughing Ninja is like really happy they're about to eat you or do whatever.
Yeah. That can't be good.
No. I don't know if we should be answering Laughing Ninja's question. I'm sort of a bit worried that we're encouraging them.
I am a bit worried, but I think we came here to do a job.
That's true. That is true. No, you're a very professional person. I appreciate that, Melissa. Thank you.
Mhm.
Keeping me on track with this show. Well, listen, Laughing Ninja's question. It's a big question. I hope you're feeling ready for it. This question is, in fact, it says, my question is, if farts are called bottom burps, why can't burps be called up farts?
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
big.
It's a
Big question.
it's a question of our times in a way.
That's right. That's right.
Wow. Again,
Yeah.
all these questions, they summon more questions. Like, what about a butt sneeze?
Whoa.
If a face
Yeah.
sneeze is a sneeze, is a fart then a butt sneeze?
I tell you my worry about a butt sneeze is when you sneeze, like often when you see people sneeze, they go achoo. So if your butt was to be like I don't know how it would do that beginning bit,
Yeah.
and it's quite sudden. There'd be something quite scary. Like farts often like eke their way out.
Yeah.
They sometimes take their time. A sneeze is quite powerful and sudden, and I could propel you forwards.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a difference between the two. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. A bit worried, but you're right. If you've got a bottom burp, a bottom sneeze, a bottom cough.
Bottom cough, perhaps.
Hmm.
But maybe we're looking at the wrong end, you know? What about the top end? What why isn't a Bert called a top fart? Why isn't it called a mouth fart?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good question. I mean, sometimes burps can be pretty stinky.
Yeah. You know what? Would you permit me? I'm sorry, maybe this is out of order, but would you permit me to do a little experiment right now?
Yeah, no, go for it. Please do.
Okay.
That's very exciting.
If this is too rude for our listeners, you can cut this out, but
Okay.
I think in the name of science, something must be studied. Okay. Here we go. Ready?
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. How did that feel? Did that feel like an up fart?
It felt like a top fart. Yeah.
Hmm.
Felt a bit like a top fart.
Yeah. What would you say? Were there any factors that meant it didn't quite qualify as a fart for you? Was there anything that?
Well, it was coming out of my top mouth, so
Hmm.
it did
Yeah.
feel to
Yeah.
me it did feel to me like it definitely wasn't officially a fart, perhaps,
Hmm.
unless we are bending these descriptions. But as I was thinking about burping, I was thinking, what does this want to be called? And I felt like that burp specifically wanted to be a mouth sneeze.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So it's how they want to be. Like you can't class these motions as something they don't want to be.
Yeah, I think they should have a say in it.
Mm.
Do you
Yeah.
do you have any burps in you? Do you want to give it a shot?
Do you know what? I'm gonna tell you a sad story. In that ever since school, I have been unable to conjure burps at will.
Wow.
And I was the only one. All my friends, they could burp the alphabet, they could burp songs, and I was there with my sad, pathetic inability to do a burp at will. I would just have to drink a lot of fizzy drinks for it to happen, and so
That
I can't. I can't. It's very sad.
that must have been really hard for you.
Very, very hard. Very hard. I was an outcast because of it.
Now,
Couldn't be part of the burp gang.
I know you said you have a busy couple of years ahead of you, but again, if you have like 18 months to spare, I know a guy up on Andes Mountain who could teach you this.
Wow.
Yeah,
Do you know that's better than hoovering? I would do that.
great.
It's something I've always dreamed of being able to do. I wish I could do it.
It's a pretty good
Pretend, but
skill. I discovered
yeah,
on
but I'd say,
accident that I can do it.
oh, okay, you discovered an accident, so that's yeah, that's really good. Just one day, you just
It was at
burped,
clown school. I discovered at clown
right?
school I can burp on command. And sorry, I'm sorry, I'm using archaic language here, that I can top fart on command.
Yes, yes, yeah, that's great. Well, I was going to say that my situation is not as bad as a friend of mine who, and this is listeners, this is true, and I hope none of you suffer this. He couldn't even burp when he had fizzy drinks. He could only burp if he was about to vomit,
Oh,
and that's the only time. So you knew he was going to be sick if he went burp burp burp, blah, and that's the only time burp ever arrived, like a warning sign.
I'm sorry, do you mean vomit or do you mean a top pee?
A mouth poop.
A
I
mouth
don't know.
poop.
That sounds so horrible.
It doesn't work so well that way. I think Laughing
It
Ninja
doesn't.
refined that question for a reason.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I suppose I probably should check as well because Dr. Glenessy obviously has as a body part. Is that all right to call him that?
Yeah, his preference is to be called a former part of bodies, but sure, whatever.
As a former part of bodies. I'm so sorry, Dr. Glenessy. I won't make eye contact. As a former body part, is there a thing as well because butts, bums, bottoms, they have ownership over farts, and it is their thing. Like they've really worked hard to get those right. And mouths have their own thing. They've got the burps, they've got the coughs, they've got the vomits, and the eating. Whatever.
And they can do this.
Um.
There's that one.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'd forgotten about that. That's a whole different world of. You can't do that with your butt. So
Yeah.
yeah. So what I'm saying is it if we just suddenly let the mouth fart, are we taking something away from the butt?
That's a great question. I'm just gonna listen into his answer real quick.
Sure.
Okay, yeah. Excellent point, doctor. Thank you so much. He says that he thinks butts will be okay with that because we are modifying it with the mouth bit. So if we were just to start referring to burps as farts, there might be some territorial dispute there. But because we're referring to them as mouth farts, you see the word mouth is already modifying the fart to make it clear that we are talking about a fart from the upper half of the body.
Sure. And would then the lower half of the body still would you have to start calling them butt farts, or are they okay just being farts without any extra bit defining where they're coming from?
What's that? Okay, yeah. No, he says that's up to you. You could add in butt fart for extra clarification, but he thinks fart is pretty clear as is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like football and American football, isn't it?
It is.
There's the bit in front. So it's a different thing to the other one.
It's a different thing. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, then I suppose, Melissa, the thing to ask you is, would you prefer them to be called up for? Like, is this something we should all start? Is this something we should all be doing? You know, Laughing Ninjas asked the question, but is it time for a change? Do we need to change the language and how we talk about this?
You know, that's a great question. And I like to have the options available to us. I really don't think we should limit ourselves. Mm-hmm. You know, I think one day it might be a burp. Another day it might be a mouth sneeze. Another day it might be a whistle from the downstairs mouth. You know, you just don't know. And I think linguistically, you need to give yourself the opportunity to label what it feels like in the moment.
Wow, a whistle from the downstairs mouth. That's poetic, and
it's beautiful.
Yeah, that is really beautiful, and I think you're right. I think we can all. It's a nice opportunity to use language as well, isn't it? That we can all maybe be a bit more imaginative with how we describe these things. You know, not I just did a fart. I did a buttock yell. You know, there's nice ways of
a yodel from the downstairs. How about that?
Yeah. That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. Wow. Yeah. Well, I think it's again you came in early with the information about joints and with the unicorn spotting, and now we've ended in this. It's almost artistic. We've created art, I think, and it's all down to Laughing Ninja's question, obviously. But thank you, Melissa. It's been I think we've learned a lot more than I knew we were going to on today's show.
Thank you so much. And, Laughing Ninja, if you're out there listening, please don't eat us. I think we've done our best to answer your question, and therefore, maybe don't eat us.
I'm really pleased you added that.
Actually.
Yeah. The thought of being snuck up on now by Silently Laughing Ninjas, it actually really ruins my day.
Yeah, it makes me almost.
I was just going to ask.
Yeah. Oh, I was just going to say, it makes me almost do a downstairs yodel just thinking about it, So.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, I was just going to ask, have you got a busy rest of your week, year, century ahead? Are you off unicorn spotting now?
Yep, I got a full day of unicorn spotting. Then I'm off to a joint chiefs meeting, and by that, of course, I mean the chiefs of the knees and the elbows, and even the toes will have representation there.
Wow!
Yeah, and then after that, I'm probably going to go back up to Andes Mountain, visit some old friends. So yeah, really, really busy few days ahead. Might do some hoovering, but we'll see if there's time.
Yeah, of course. I mean, priorities. You've got. It sounds like you've got more important things to do than I have. So. Listen, Melissa, thank you for finding the time. Thank you, Dr. McGlensey, for finding the time as well. And I really appreciate your question answering abilities, and good luck with spotting unicorns and seeing the Andes.
Thank you so much. Take care.
So then where does that leave poor Toad?
Thanks so much to Melissa McGlensey and, of course, her knee for taking time to answer Laughing Ninja's question. Laughing Ninja, I do hope you're happy with the answer. And if not, I mean, I'll be honest, I'm already upset that you've got me so confused about toads. So, frankly, I'm not going to pay any attention to any complaints that you send in anyway. If you lot out there, yes, you other listeners, want to send in any questions that you need to have answered, then do ask your glumbums, grown-ups, to help you email me at podcast@comedyclub4kids.co.uk. Any Christmas ones need to be sent in by December the 15th. If they arrive after that, they will not be on the episode. If those same grown-ups want to help support this show, they can sign up to the advert-free limited edition for a small fee, which is super easy to do on Apple Podcasts or far more complicated to do on Acast Plus or Patreon. And don't forget to check out our live shows at comedyclubforkids.co.uk and our t-shirts and book at comedyclubforkids.store. Okay, right, so while you were listening to that bit, I put in an order at Toads R Us for a box of toads. It was like on special offer, so I thought, well, I may as well get a whole box, right? And they should be arriving any minute now. Brilliant. Right, let me open this up and... Toads! See, I knew it. They do exist. I can pick them up and everything. Hang on. Why is my hand now covered in paint? Hold on, that isn't a toad. It's a frog in makeup. And this one is a duck wearing a hat. And this one...
Hello, I'm Alan, professional toad impersonator, at your service.
What? This is so weird. Right, listeners, do you know a toad? Are you a toad that listens to this show? Let me know, because I'm certain they exist. Wait, and now my car is being towed away from outside, so that must be real. Hang on, I don't even have a car. Why is it being taken away by a man dressed as a toad?
Hello, I'm also a car taker away impersonator.
Oh, so many mysteries, so little toad. I'd better go get my car back even though it isn't mine. Hey, you! Bye! You have been listening to Comedy Club for Kids presents... Radio nonsense, radio nonsense, radio nonsense, radio nonsense, radio nonsense. It's the end.